Hello and welcome to another episode of Within Crisis. This time around, we got a very special guest with us, Sly, aka Grey Fox or SlyTheFox, depending on where you know him around spaces. We're going to be discussing Sly's journey with gaming and talking about a franchise rather than a singular title today. Talking about Shin Megami Tensei games as well as the Persona series. And say hello, gents.
Hello, how you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, a lot of people know you, Sly, for 14, SMT definitely, and Persona, Gran Turismo. Mixing drinks a lot on stream. Your barbecues. What am I missing?
Gotta vary it up.
God, it sounds like it sounds like such a hodgepodge when you say it now. God, yeah, do a little bit of everything, a little bit of everything.
Keep it fresh.
Depending on what time of night or day I find you online, it varies. I just chill 14. You outside with your smoker. Your little lounge on Saturday, or you're doing your radio show.
God, yeah, it definitely sounds like a hodgepodge now.
You're just a busy
I never really
guy,
thought about it. I guess busy would be a good word to describe it. Yeah, I do a bit of everything. You pretty much listed everything that I've done so far and currently. Possibly something else in the near future. I don't know.
I think the only things I missed out were like your detective games.
Yeah.
Screw you, everyone who follows me, my making you play Mario Party and the other such games.
We don't talk about Mario Party.
Tells it all.
we don't talk about Mario Party. They're trying to get me into another Mario Party game currently, and I am trying to find a way out of it. So I'm trying to find a representative for me to take my place this next Mario Party foray. So we don't talk about that.
All right, so let's actually kick into the show. So how did you start your gaming journey from young Sly?
How did I start my gaming journey? Well, when I was young, and my parents were together, we would go to the mall, and then the mall had this shiny little arcade with all these games, and then Dad took me to the arcade and let me play some games, and that's really how it started. And then of course, when I was 5, my parents got me a Nintendo. A few years later, my parents got me a Sega Genesis, and really, I want to say, really, what started Sly began with the Sega, because that's when I first got my taste of an RPG called Shining Force, and that started my RPG journey. That's what really got me hooked. It started really early, but I really truly say that it started all with Shining Force. If I didn't play Shining Force, I wouldn't be here right now. So
It's funny you should say that, because I always put Final Fantasy down to being my first RPG personally, but I did play Shining Force before that. My parents, back when I was about 10 years of age, went to a tiny PC showroom. Not that it's a small computer. The brand Tiny PC no longer exists. Went to the showroom. They spent about £2,000 at the time. It was extortionate. But we had this old Windows Millennium Edition PC. It came with the printer. It came with all this different software, but it came with a Mega Drive Collection CD, and on that CD was Comic Book Zone, Sonic, and Streets of Rage, but was also Shining Force 2, I believe. And I did play. I found it incredibly hard. I got to chapter 3, I believe, and I just wasn't leveled up enough. I just kept getting killed. But I recently started playing Shining Force 2 again on the Mega Drive collection on the Switch, and I've gotten much further. I do intend to finish it.
And it's funny you should say that because I think the new the Mega Drive MIDI 2, I think they just showed that last week, and Shining Force 2, Shining Force 2 and Shining Force CD, Shining Force 2 and Shining in the Darkness are on it. So I definitely probably getting it.
Nice.
Am I correct in believing that because I've got the Shining Resonance game on the Switch, is that part of the Shining?
It's part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
One of my many backlog games.
Not a series
Yeah,
I
sure.
personally got involved with. Most of my gaming life has been with Sony, so there's been a lot of franchises that have just gone to the wayside. I've come to very, very late. Especially with SMT, a lot of them being on non-PlayStation devices. It's like, fuck. So yeah, you're saying Shining Force is the start of your gaming journey. Then
Really it is, yeah.
how did your gaming journey then continue from your first Sega?
From there, what was it? Um, Saturn, PlayStation, PS2, obviously, and well, by the time, by the time I was in high school, middle school was my PlayStation. High school was actually Dreamcast for a while when that was out, and then college is where I got the PS2. Um, and that's college is actually where my Megaton journey, SMT, started with Nocturne. And then from there on, it just, everything else. PS3, PS4, PC, and here I am.
So how did you start to fall in love with the Megaton games? And
Well, again, with Nocturne being my first, it was the thing that like kind of it was a turn off initially, but again, it kind of grew on me. Was the fact that it was so difficult. It's just in comparison to more mainline, for more streamlined, um more mainstream uh RPG titles. This one just beat me continuously until it like made me love it. And then um I kind of like wanted to learn more, like what is this? And what is this series? And with Nocturne's not the most, it's open, but it's not one of the more open ended Megaton titles. Even after that, I did Digital Devil Saga, which again is it's the most linear of the Megaton titles. It's like pretty straightforward. You really don't have any choices with that, and that quickly became one of my favorites. It's still to this day one of my favorite Megaton titles. But then after that, I go back and do a little digging and start to play the older Megaton titles through kind of like emulation and whatnot. And I learn like in comparison to Final Fantasies, which I've been playing, I learned that the Megaton titles they're so open. Like never before have I had this amount of control in what I can do. And with playing like playing one and two, it was just so open. There was so much you could do. There were so many choices you can make. And it's just not like point A to point Z, like, get the crystals, save the land, like Final Fantasy. You could actually be evil. You could actually side with you could actually do pretty pretty terrible things and still be rewarded for it. And the way that affinity was handled, the way that, alignment was handled was so well, was the fact that, both sides have their good points and their bad points. They're not necessarily good, they're not necessarily evil, and they are never described inherently as evil. It's just your choice. And that's really what drew it to me, and kind of made me fall in love with it over, any other RPG I've played, in like any Final Fantasy and whatnot. It's just the amount of choice, and like when I tell my RPG friends, they like my Final Fantasy friends at the time, like they didn't want to give it a shot, and I'm telling you, this is so good. Like you can do anything you want, you can be anything you want, you can kill God. Like, I mean, to be fair, in any RPG, that's like a any day that ends with
Yeah,
day.
day one kill
Uh,
money, day four kill God.
yeah, pretty much. That's like a day that ends with day in RPG land. But yeah, it's just the total amount of freedom that Mega 10 just gives you that really, really drew me to it. Like outside of like Digital Devil Saga, outside of Nocturne, and then you know playing through the series throughout the years. Even the more modern titles like the 3DS titles really, really opened it up, and that's where it really, really got good. And then from there, we're currently at five, and other like other side titles like Devil Survivor, Soul Hackers 2 coming soon, things like that. Yeah, like it's just, again, I cannot preach enough freedom. The freedom to do what you want and, kind of write your own story. That's what really drew me to it.
Like my first experience with that in RPGs in general was Skyrim, because I was very much Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, linear, self-contained, and playing Skyrim. I think Ash brought it
Mm-hmm.
up to my house. He had rented it from Love Film at the time. Just played it for an hour. It's like,
Yeah.
this just blew my mind. Just like, oh yeah,
Right.
whoever you choose, you want to stab him as soon as you go outside, go for it. Like, what? You can do that? Just kill people in their sleep? Do this? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it blew my mind. But again, like we were saying with your RPG friends, trying to get them into this series, Ash tried for years to get me into Personas.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think he did a good job originally.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd one for me. So if you think back when we were in college, and my first experience was again I started with the Final Fantasy games, and back when we were in college, and we kind of went for that phase of watching like anime as well, and
Mm-hmm.
we just tried pick every time we went to the game to it was Game Station at the time we had the store. Any PS2 games, JRPG, RPG related, we were just buying what we could and just experiment and trying different ones. And that's how I ended up getting into Breath of Fire. Funny how I got into Breath of Fire started with Dragon Quarter, which is probably the least favorite, but went back and
Thanks
bought.
about Dragon Quarter, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Then I picked up Breath of Fire 3 on the PSP. Thought that was fantastic, and picked up 4 as well, and obviously I went back to 1 and 2. My Final Fantasy background is quite odd as well. I got into Final Fantasy through 10 Part 2. I played 10 Part 2 before 10 because I don't make any sense in what order I go in. So I ended up buying Persona 3 Fez because I thought that was the original. I didn't realize that Fez had that additional content. I just bought this game
Mhm.
and I just fell in love with this game. It was fantastic. And yeah, I think obviously coming from like a Final Fantasy background, playing Persona, and kind of you got that like kind of slice of life. Because you're in like high school as well in the game type thing. That was all new to me, and I really did enjoy
Mhm.
that. And I thought, right, I'm going to go back to the other Persona games, 1 and 2. and got my ass handed to me because obviously Persona 1 and 2 are very much like the Shin Megami series.
Right.
Very hard, very, very hard.
Yeah, we're
So
coming down to
I
two personas out of
so
level one.
I kind of stuck to Persona for a while, but now I'm a bit more of a confident RPG gamer. So I did pick up SMT5 quite recently and have been playing through that. But
Nice.
yeah, it's I kind of stuck solely to the Persona series. I got ball into the Persona series as well, but I started with Persona 4 with you, and I bought my copy of 4, which
Hmm.
well, it's not the best, but it's not it's not bad. I enjoyed
Right.
it.
Yeah, one of my first interactions with Stream was someone subbing and the fog playing, and that song has stuck with me for years. It was on in the car earlier, the Konishi mix from Persona 4 Dancing.
Is it
Hmm.
your affection is the song that's played when you're in the town area of Persona 4? That one sticks in my head.
I think that was the biggest selling point after I got into Persona for me was just the music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such a good
Shoji
song.
Meguro is Shoji Meguro is a genius.
Uh,
His
just the last battle of Persona 3, that theme was just that was uh yeah, just that last bit where I don't know, I don't want to just spoil it. I don't want to say, oh, this particular root part of the boss, just in case whoever listens to us, I don't want to spoil
Mhm.
the moment for them, but uh like typical kind of RPG games, you do go for like different phases, and it's that very last one, and where the music kind of shifts, and it's fantastic. Listen to that.
So yeah, with me,
Oh,
go on, sorry.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, with me, Persona 4 was where I started. Don't think I finished. No, 5 was the first one I borrowed off you actually. Yeah, I played 5 first, went back to Golden because it was on offer on the Vita. Went back to
Oh,
Fez.
cool.
Yeah, went back to Fez.
Hmm.
No, it wasn't Fez, it was Persona 3 Portable because I was on my Vita. Then
Oh,
started
that was
playing 1, spent hours going, how the hell do I level up my Personas? Understanding I have to just use the Personas. Simple. Yeah, losing my mind, but it's also going back that order. I'm seeing the mechanics they use in later games and how they started and just trying to bring them back around. Like guns in Persona 5 and talking to demons again with the other stuff.
One thing going back to what you said about the final bosses. Um, I won't go into too much detail. Like you said, we don't want to spoil for any viewers. I won't go into too much detail, but in comparison to earlier Persona versus like I guess I call it modern Persona, which is like 3 up.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of actually preferred early Persona, so 1 and 2 duology, because like again, early like to me, and it's more those are more reminiscent of mainline Megaton. And then not to like take away anything from modern Persona because I love modern Persona. Um, the thing about the Persona series is as a complete game, it's the only series I know that gets better with each iteration. So there was 1, 2 was better, and then 3 came out, and 3 was better. 4 came out, 4 was better, and 5 came out and became this really big hit. So it's a game that gets better with each iteration, but I feel like the early Persona bosses, well, in terms of final bosses, were done so much better. Um, I don't think I can go into too much detail as to why, because I don't want to spoil it. But there is a clear night and day difference as to why.
Yeah. And like you said, the way they approach the stories are a lot different as well between the early and the current.
Yes, yes. Again, um, current is more time management, whereas early is just pretty much I wouldn't say A to Z, but it's, pretty straightforward. I mean, they're all pretty linear, and they're all pretty linear with the exception of modern being there's a lot of choice in how you can do your day to day. Like every day will probably be different for most people. Whereas, one and two duology, um, now I'll even throw in if because if started the whole thing. It is pretty much straightforward. Like it is an A to Z thing.
Strange Journey, was that another one as well that you've played?
Another Megaton, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. I love Strange Journey.
Yeah, I think at this point, Sly's played everything.
I-
Because most
I
of my
did-
exposure of the more obscure ones has just been Shin Megami Saturdays and just Sly on the background going, what the hell's going on now?
Do you think Persona 3, 4, and 5, like the modern days, were kind of, I wouldn't say dumbed down, but kind of that's when they started kind of appealing to the Western market, where the like Persona 1 and 2 and obviously the main Shinigami series is stuck quite to the original kind of standard that they had.
Uh, I want to say they were trying to appeal to the Western market. I would say they're trying to appeal to the more mainstream market, but with a slight difference in setting. But yeah, it's definitely more mainstream. It definitely got more mainstream appeal. It's got its own kind of thing, whereas Final Fantasy will always have that mainstream appeal. And Persona had to kind of work and tweak a few things to, get that to appeal to the anime lover side and get its place where it is now.
It also feel like the stories now are a bit more joyful in how they go. Because my experience with Shin Megami 1, everything felt the stakes were a lot darker.
Oh, Shin Megami 1?
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei 1?
Oh, no, Persona.
Oh yeah, Persona 1. Yeah. Like really from 1 to 3, well, from if to 3. It gets pretty dark. 3 being probably the darkest. Even with a modern, slightly upbeat spin. And the one thing with 2, one thing with 2 I love, and I kind of want back adults, like actual goddamn adults. I mean, I'm not opposed to being a high schooler and being in so and so high school, but God, Eternal Punishment was so good because it was just a fully adult cast. They had adult problems. They were really dark. As opposed to high school bullying, yada yada yada. Like I want those adult problems back. I want I joke with this, but I want like one of the issues in P6 to be taxes.
Yeah,
I want the really dark stuff.
Yeah, they could easily take the Persona formula of your day management and apply it to actually working and everything else. It's an easy formula to modify to a different style of story.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the stories sort of interconnecting, there's a lot of ways they can bring back the older characters. Because without going into spoilers, the way that 3 ends, that could easily lead into a future title.
Yep. I mean, hell, what was it? Arena pretty much connected 3 and 4. So, and then we get, you get bits and pieces of it through little Easter eggs in 5. They don't explicitly, like the producers and developers don't explicitly say they're connected, but
I
it's
think
like,
in
yeah,
five,
it's
yeah, five add the post in the train station of Rize and the other character from
Reset.
That's Not Right.
Yeah.
So they do have to acknowledge, obviously, the attendance and everything in the Velvet Room.
Mm.
Pretty sure Persona 4, when you go on your school trip, you visit Gekugan High, which is from Persona 3.
You do. You do.
Sorry. I just, I was like, don't want to spoil, but then I remembered that. But yeah, funny if going back to what you were saying, Sly, about if you put adult problems like taxes, a little bit off topic with Persona, but I remember the Tales of Exilia sequel,
Oh,
Tales of Exilia
Celia
2,
too.
had your character ends up with a massive amount of debt, and it's the most painful thing to be able to like you start like collecting money, and then this little person pops up on your screen going, "Oh, we're gonna take a little bit of a cut of what you have, of the gold you've already gathered." And I just think this is painful. I have to experience this in real life and in a game. I played this game to escape real life.
Oh, that reminds me of one of the Pokemon games. It was Gold and Silver, I think, where your mother could hold money for you and everything. Oh, I've just spent some of your money. It's like, bitch, what?
And
I'm
that was
old enough for
preparing.
Pokeballs.
No, that was preparing you for when you have like a partner in real life. I know the pain.
But for me, one of the surprises that this series has pushed out was Strikers, the Musu game.
Yes.
I've played Dynasty Warriors for years, got fed up because it just never felt different. And along comes Persona and just blows my mind completely. I would love to see them revisit this style for another entry into the series.
Oh yeah, I was definitely saying that it would work for something like I don't know if you've ever played the Devil Summoner Rido games, but it would definitely work for Rido. Rido is I wouldn't call it like hack and slash, but Rido with something like a Muso engine or a Platinum engine or something like a Devil May Cry engine would work.
Isn't
Um,
I believe that the new Fire Emblem game has taken the Strikers route, hasn't it?
yes, yes. It wouldn't be the first time they've done it actually. There were Fire Emblem Warriors. I think that's the second Fire Emblem
Yeah,
Warriors game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A
yeah, I
lot of
did try
Yeah.
games have
playing
tried
Warriors.
to do the Musu formula.
Mm. Yeah, I played Warriors, and I didn't get into it from like what you were saying, Paul. Where it's just they seem to be like a cut and paste of each other. But what kind of made Strikers different is that they perfectly blended like the Persona element,
hmm
like the RPG element, into that kind of like hack and slash kind of game, and that's what I feel like the new Fire Emblem's gonna do in the sense that with the Warriors was just kind of a cut and paste of that of a hack and slash game, just with a Fire Emblem skin on it. With this one, would be a bit more tactical and have that element as well.
And see, the thing with strikers is like I was talking to when it came out, I was speaking to my Megaten friends about it, who really are into Megaten, and at first, like it was a really hard sell for them because it was like it was confusing because not a lot of them played Muso games. Like not a lot of them did hack and slash. And it's like I when I got into it, I like got it. It's Muso, it's hack and slash, but it's not just hack and slash. You can't just hack and slash your way through everything. There are persona mechanics too. There are debuffs. There are things like technical damage that will definitely make your life easier in this game. And once I told them that, they like it was a breeze for them. But until then, yeah, it didn't really mesh well with a lot of my Megaton friends at first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it for what it was, and I had a really good time with it. Like I didn't have too many problems with it, like in terms of like difficulty, but it was fun. It was definitely a fun experience, and I would love to see them go that route again for even if it was just Persona, that's fine too. But I'd love to see them go that route for mainline or a side story Megaten as well.
They said that Raito, no one I'm intimate with, but I remember seeing things with it, and at least the story definitely bleeds that
hmm
style.
Yeah.
But like you're saying with your Mega 10 friends who haven't played Hack and Slashes, I just remembered starting up my Merciless playthrough. It's like, if you're Hack and Slashing it, you were dead. That first
Yeah,
tiny
pretty
mini
much.
boss that's the tutorial that
Mm-hmm.
almost destroyed me. And I was
Yep.
set up for it
It
because I
did.
remembered what it was.
Hell, not even that. Like, well, I think it's impossible for you to die in the very first scene. But once you get to that scene in the first chapter, that will kill you if you're not careful on Merciless. Yeah, like it's it's not a difficult game. But if you don't understand how to bleed two styles together in terms of using your spells and knowing when to hack and slash, yeah, it'll get you. It'll try to
Getting
get
your
you.
party set up right. It's got those core
Hmm.
Persona fundamentals
Hmm.
with a
Yep.
more cinematic approach to the combat.
Hmm.
I would really like to see Final Fantasy potentially go down that route as well.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair,
We got
16
16.
is developed. Yeah,
Well,
16 is being developed by
exactly.
like the Devil May Cry combat
There you
director.
go. I did call it Devil May Fantasy when
Yeah,
you asked me.
I
Yeah,
What
think
would
we
you
all have
think?
at this
yeah.
point. But I think for Musu style specifically, because it is a game that I would love to see him make in one of the worlds, which is 10. But early 10's storyline with the Summoner War. You have the Summoners of Sanakin against the Machina of Bavel, and you chuck down in
Mhm.
Musu style.
You know they're gonna do it with 7 instead, and it'd be like that war with Wu Tai.
Possibly.
You know, they're gonna go for the biggest money maker, isn't it?
To be fair, Crisis Core did feel that way a little when you do the
Eh,
Wu Tai
it
style
it
missions.
it did have the element there, but like it was focused more on Zach, wasn't it, and kind of followed his storyline. But you're talking about something a bit more wide scale with
Yeah.
the war going on and like lots of characters fighting. So you have that hack and slash. But yeah, they could definitely do it with that. Although they do have, is it First Soldier, the mobile
The
game?
Battle Royale, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh God.
sorry, that's not. Yeah, I know that's such a dirty word. Battle Royale. Yeah,
I've I've
not my
installed
cup
my
of tea.
phone since it launched. I have not loaded it up yet. The only Battle Royale I want is the one that Yoshi P teased in that interview recently with Blue Mages. Because I think that would be fun. They need to do something crazy with Blue Mage and PvP. That works for me.
Yeah.
But we
So
went off
yeah,
topic.
there's a lot of the SMT series that hasn't become mainstream in the West yet. Is there any in particular slide that you would love to see get more attention?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see mainline get a lot more attention. I mean, Persona definitely has gotten its share of attention, even with the from like 3 to 5, and it definitely took a few years of build up to get that attention. Um, but yeah, I would love to see mainline get that attention. SMT5 definitely um, kind of help to build that. I would love to see Soul Hackers do well as a side story um, um, in Megaton. Um, yeah, but yeah, I would love for them to really where I think the peak hit was for an apocalypse, and that's really peak for me. Strange Journey. Even though my Megaton friends don't say Redux, they say Strange Journey original, not Redux. Even though I disagree. Um, hell, Redux is a good one, but I really don't know how they can make Megaton more accessible. And that's the difficulty of it because like I mean, not accessible, but more mainstream because Persona is mainstream.
Yeah.
Mainline, it's kind of taking a backseat to that,
It has
and
very
that's
much felt
okay.
like Persona's their flagship rather than their secondary
Yeah,
in recent years.
yeah. Even though if it weren't for mainline, Persona wouldn't be here, and not a lot of people realize that. And like,
Yeah, I can't remember
you
specifically. Shin Megami F came off the second game of the main series.
mm-hmm, yes, and not a lot of people know uh, that's where Persona started, and um, like always in my head, like with all the of all the Persona protagonists, I always say Tamaki in the main character in Shin Megami Tensei. If Tamaki walked, so the rest of the Persona protagonists could run. Uh, that's always been my inside joke. Yeah, if it weren't for if and it weren't for the building blocks that mainline originally had, we wouldn't have Persona. And so I would love for more people to be introduced to like a different style of storytelling. Like people love Divinity for as much choice as the Divinity gives you. I love Divinity. And and I kind of feel like mainline falls within that category, like very much less than Divinity in terms of freedom, but still like in terms of kind of console RPGs, um, with that amount of freedom, or AAA RPG titles with that amount of freedom, like mainline Megaton is the closest thing you're gonna get to like a Divinity style RPG. And I would love for people to at least see that and start to create their own stories, start to, go against the grain of, hey, we got to get all these crystals and save the land, save the princess.
Do you think that's why Persona's done better in the West? Is that it's not like they put more effort into advertising and Persona over the mainline series. It's just from the fact that Persona has more of a linear sense. You know, you have your day to day. You can have
Hmm.
change different things,
Yeah.
but like you said,
Yeah.
Shinigami is kind of you're thrown into the world and you make the story on your own. And I take it that, like you're saying, like it would be good if people kind of change and kind of try that kind of gameplay out and
And,
see if that appeals to them.
and see, another thing about like the differences from mainline Megaton and Persona mainline Megaton is darker.
Yeah.
Mainline Megaton has always been like fairly dark. It's apocalyptic. It's usually apocalyptic. Everything, what whatever like you were trying to prevent in Final Fantasy, that already happened in Megaton. That's where we start. Like everything is already ruined. You are just trying to wade through that world where like the apocalypse has already started. Like is every man, woman, child, and demon for themselves. And like I like those odds. I like I like I like that setting. Whereas, Persona is like everything like is you're trying to stop that. You're trying to stop that. There's no apocalypse setting. It's just you exist in the world, your current world. School happens, things happen, and then you're trying to prevent a calamity, a world-ending situation. I've always loved that setting. I've always loved the you know darker apocalyptic setting. Um, Side quests get really really heavy. People die. Like people literally die in side quests. Like you can either save them or let them die, or you can be the one to kill them yourself and walk about your life like nothing happened. Um, again, that setting, um, as twisted as it sounds, I love it. I love it. It's like It's like starting life on hard mode, but not
Yeah, wasn't
literally in the
that
game.
the premise of If? Because obviously,
Um,
Apocalypse being the main thing of the main series, and his wife
yeah,
repented, or
the premise of if was forget his name. But one student basically gains control of the entire school and splits the entire school into sectors based on the seven deadly sins and gives a demon prominence over each of those sections.
Only much a much more darker theme then. I think, like you said, when you've got a game that's kind of set after the apocalypse, all that nasty stuff has happened.
Mhm.
You can
Yep.
have kind of a much darker setting. There's none of that. You're playing the protagonist trying to save the world. It always has like a happy ending. Where they this doesn't necessarily have that.
Oh, like even going back to, and I'm sorry, like slight spoiler, even though like we're so many years past this. Slight spoiler for Shin Megami Tensei. The game starts with your mom getting eaten by a demon. How dark? Like
yeah,
it's not your average RPG. Like it's some real stuff. Like God, it is
yeah.
like
I think
for
stuff like
I'm
that.
twisted. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that attracted me to titles like Legend of Dragoon, how that starts, and then
Mm-hmm.
some crazy PS2 RPG style games like Dragon Guard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like the
God, I love
characters
Dragon Guard.
you recruit during that game. You got cannibals and
Uh-huh.
everything else. Then not
Mm-hmm.
sure if you know of it, Chaos Legion, because
Yes.
that was crazy. To anything else. And I brought it up in the last two shows, but the Shadow Heart series, another dark horror style RPG.
And has that difficulty element to it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, the more you use your personas, the best way to describe your demons that you can use, you descend into
Mm-hmm.
insanity until they come for you and you have to fight them off.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I started with Dragon Quarters for the Breath of Fire, and in the other Breath of Fire games, when you use your dragon ability, fantastic. But in this one, it's slowly killing you. And you have that timer, and if you use the powers too much throughout the game, it's game over. You just end dying.
Um, Original Soul Hacker, and maybe I think Devil Summoner had it too. Um, like in any other Back of 10, you use your demon, it's fine. It costs in mainline, and if it um costs a certain um magnetite. It costs magnetite to use um demons and whatnot, and that's fine. But in I believe Devil Summoner and Soul Hackers, demons had a personality. So if you did anything that went against that demon's personality, like demon healing, a healing demon, and you tell that demon, hey, I want you to attack, eventually that demon is just going to get fed up with you and leave the party if you go
That's
against its
fast.
personality. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that two just scrapped that. Like, I hope to God that two scrapped the personality system. Um,
That was a bit
I
too
won't know.
hard. That's toned it down a little bit.
Yeah. Like I've seen what from the trailers, what I've seen of Soul Hackers 2. I think they did get rid of it, so thank God.
They just game over because your entire party leaves you. It's quite a punishment.
Yeah, it's definitely a punishment when you don't know your own demon's personality.
Yeah, you'll just see the speedrunners just create a new category. How fast can we do 6 demons in one go? But yeah, what I've been thinking with how popular Persona is compared to the main line is the supporting characters. Like Igor,
Yes.
he sells Persona to me. The Velvet Room itself, every time seeing how that changes from game to game.
That's the reason why our FC is the
Yeah.
Velvet Room. do believe.
And now, for years, Sly's gone under using the Velvet Room for his own stuff as well.
Yeah, my stream is the Velvet Room. It is. It's like the Velvet Room is like part of the charm, part of the personality. It is Persona, and then, like you say, the supporting characters really give life to it. Hell, I love the fact that from If to One, Tamaki, the main character from If, is a student at St. Hermelin in One, and then she becomes an employee of the Kuzunoha Detective Agency in Two. So, like, If to Persona 2, definitely connected. And the main characters, the main cast from One, except for the main character, were characters and added to the story in P2. Now, love that. And then when it comes to like modern Persona, yeah, your party, people have had so many attachments to so many of the supporting characters. Like, it's not even funny. Like, you see the polls, you see a lot of the fan art, a lot of the cosplay. Yeah, one thing Persona does know how to do is to really build characters, make you root for them, make you, build those relationships. That's one thing I feel that the Persona series really does well. Now, when you compare that to mainline, and see, I kind of had to explain this because a lot of people felt like, well, 5 was really different from 4. 5 really wanted you there for the story. They didn't want you, like a lot of people, even me, I really didn't give a rat's ass about the supporting cast I had in 5. Even though in 4, I cared about Jonathan, I cared about Walter, I cared about Isabeau. And then like other people around, I kind of gave a damn about them. 3, not so much. I hated everyone and I wanted to do my own thing. 2, yeah, you kind of have rooting interests, but at the same time, you realize that those rooting interests are alignment. They're aligned with law or chaos, and you eventually have to pick one. Persona does a really good job of character building, whereas Mainline does a really good job of world building. That's the really big comparison between the two.
Is there anything in the mainline series that carries on from game to game? Like, the start of Persona, you had Philemon with Igor underneath him, then Igor took over the primary role from 3 onwards. With the wages of the gods choosing someone with the butterfly.
Really, the one thing really that connects mainline, I guess, would be I wouldn't say the great axis. I think the overall highest being would be the only one thing that connects everything. 3 kind of existed in its own universe via creation. 3 had its own kind of world. Like, they each really have their own kind of isolated world based on incidents that happen. There's a connection, but there are a lot of ifs, and it's a lot of like flow charts based on, did this happen, and this connects. So pretty much 1 is its own thing. 2 is definitely its own thing. 3 is definitely its own thing. 4 and 4 Apocalypse, like, that's pretty much a connection. There have been rumors and like theory crafting that 3 is kind of somehow connected to 5 via certain things, but each each one is kind of isolated. Each one is kind of isolated in its own pocket universe based on certain things. And then, like, if you really want to really theorize um what happened, um some people theorize that, Persona started from Shin Megami Tensei 2 when Raito Kuzunoha the 40th went back in time to the 1920s and kind of set off a series of events that would eventually lead to the Persona series. So either way, the producers and developers are going to tell you that each is his own thing, but we can, if you're smart enough and you're creative enough, you can kind of connect some dots to
Just need to Mass
create.
Effect it.
Yeah, you need a wall, some Polaroids, and some red string, and you too
And a
can
Charlie Day.
theorize the yeah you too can theorize the timeline of Shin Megami Tensei.
Cool. Anything you can think of, Ash?
No, it's like I was about to say when you were saying about the different timelines and or like a pictures that meme from
You can, if you
oh,
look it
oh,
up, like there's so many people had like their own theories as far as like what goes where, how things are connected. It's interesting to look at.
I said or like
Uh,
pictures that meme from Always Sunny with Charlie
yeah,
Charlie with
Charlie Day, yeah.
Yeah, I see that so much with some of the 14, Final Fantasy 14 stuff as well over the years.
Mhm.
But at least with the Final Fantasy stuff, we usually get answers eventually.
Right.
But with Persona, it's like, and SMT, it's like, we'll do what we want, how we want. Yeah, we made a dancing
Basically.
game around the world of 4. We're going to do it for 3 and 5, and we're just going to place them out of time so they can interact with the same space.
well, in that case, just if certain elements of it, they're saying that they're their own world, the different games, but they are somewhat interconnected. If they're doing that intentionally,
Mhm.
then yes, they're lying to us and saying like, oh, they're completely isolated, but in fact they're not. Or there are elements that do tie together, but like you said, Paul, they're just kind of winging it and just making it up as they go along. Which in that case, some of it might contradict itself in that sense, or is that
It could all
where you
just be
think?
parallel universes to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's based off like a series of ifs and what ifs. Like, did this happen? Well, this is the universe we're in right now. Congratulations. Did this happen? Well, that's the universe you're in. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's just Megaton hot tub time machine. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Next week, we'll get Shin Megami 6, and you'll just have a cast that's just all the mainline personas from Persona, and that's who you control for the entire game. And just you recruit humans instead of demons. So, where do you think the future of the series will go, Sly?
The future of Megaton. I'm optimistic for the future of Megaton. Um, with the addition of 5, um, in terms of mainline, what I want them to really get back to is really get back to, being honest about what mainline Megaton is. It's a world building kind of thing. And like, don't go out of your way. Don't go out of your way to create this world that's sort of similar to Persona, and you want them like characters. I mean, you like every writer wants their characters to be liked and well loved and appreciated. No, forget that. I want you to do your damnedest to have the world kill me. in mainline. I want the world to go out of its way to kill me. That's what I want. I want it. I want there to be the darkness of four. Four kind of hit the nail on the head when it came to like world building and things happening. And, you really didn't care about the characters, but you cared about what was happening around you. And that like resulted in the choices you made. And there were a lot of choices to make that led to your alignment, whether you were law, whether you were chaos, whether you were neutral. And neutral was really hard because those were a lot of decisions, a lot of side quests. And that's where I feel like 5 differed, because it was really easy to kind of, I guess, be neutral. Whereas 4 really constantly had you weighing your options, weighing what you do here and what you do there.
Feel that real sense of gravitas with everything.
Yeah. 4 really had that, and I want them to get back to that. I want to feel like my choices really, really matter. So go back to that. In terms of side stories like Soul Hackers 2, I'm optimistic for stuff like Soul Hackers 2 and whatnot. Side stories have always been good. Devil Survivor is really good. If you like Shining Force, you'll love Devil Survivor. I hope they do another Devil Survivor. I would love to see Rido. I would love to see hack and slash meets, detective / RPG style gameplay. The future of Persona is very, very solid. I'm not worried. Again, we still have the anniversary event. A lot of people are thinking P6 gets a reveal this fall. And that'd be great. Sure. But I'm really not too concerned for the future of Persona. The community, the fans will definitely keep that going on its own. Like, P Studios at this point could do no wrong if they wanted to.
My biggest question, if we get a P6, is Eagle. Because as we know with the...
He's always going to be a part of it.
But if you think of the Japanese culture, when a voice actor dies, there's a lot of time they don't like to replace.
Right. And they did have to replace him for 5. Yeah.
And then he was completely absent from Strikers. But I think that's the case anyway, sometimes with some of the side story stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some side story stuff. Yeah, they'll just leave it out completely. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have, like, Igor is a part of is Persona. Like I said, it's like the Velvet Room. He is the Velvet Room. Velvet Room is Persona. So they're not gonna do without Igor. Igor's gonna be there. Yeah.
He's just stood out for years for me.
You really think it'd be Persona 6? Because at this event, because you got the Dance All Night? Is it Dance All Night series?
Dancing All Night,
yeah, and obviously now we've had Strikers as well. Do you think, and is it the Persona Q, the dungeon crawler ones as well?
Q and Q2?
I'd be quite surprised if they come out with the announced P6. I wouldn't have thought, because with Vile and Strikers only kind of, in the grand scheme of things, only being still quite a recent game. I'd be very surprised if they come out with 6.
Again, like with the 25th anniversary of Persona, at bare minimum, you would just get a teaser for 6. It's in development. That's all they say. You would get like they did with P5. Like they did with the initial reveal of P5, it was just an image of 5 chairs with like a ball and chain on each of the chairs. That's all you got. So we'll probably end up getting something like that. You won't get a trailer. We'll just be getting a confirmation that P6 is being worked on. That's what I think. That's what I think at the bare minimum will happen.
So
Yeah,
this year
like
we've got Atlas showing up in Game Fest tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got the 25th anniversary coming up. We got the
Mm-hmm.
music concert also later in the year,
Mm-hmm.
where they say they're going to feature some brand new music they haven't played before. Whether that's just tracks they've never actually played as part of
Tracks
their
they
live
probably
show.
haven't played. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they have had a track record of showing something there as well.
Yeah. Always.
So there's 3 times this year we can get Megaten and Persona related stuff.
Yeah.
don't come into the thing on it. Like the SMT5, the trailer, the teaser trailer for that. How long ago was that released before? I completely forgot about SMT5.
Yeah,
2017.
yeah, that was polling versus 13
2017 Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, wow, we get to play this next. Nope.
No.
What year after that?
Is it still in
Nope.
development?
Yeah, I completely forgot about it until
Yeah,
it
it's
was
been a
back
bad
early last
habit
year.
in the gaming industry. Is they'll announce
Mm-hmm.
something,
Uh,
you don't hear about it for 5 years.
that's
Right.
why I like what Yoshi's doing with 16 is that he did not really kind of tease or show much until like it was like, oh, here you go,
It
look at
was
this video.
ready.
By the way, the
Yeah.
game is red. Is the game can be played from start to finish now. We're at that point, and I think that's really good practice to have that.
See, the thing, yeah, it's a really good practice, but the thing is, like, in comparison to like 96% of the industry, Yoshi P is just built different.
Yeah,
Like, he was the only one who will do that. He is the only one. Anybody else, I know of a few other, Japanese devs who might do that and give you periodic, trailers and this is what's going on. This is, this is a delay, yada yada. Yada. I only know of a few,
Hideo
but yeah,
Kojima comes to mind for that.
yeah, Kojima comes to mind too. Um, Atlas on a whole is just in terms of their branding, like in terms of the stuff, like Soul Hackers 2 has been out there. If you really paid attention to it, like there are trailers every few weeks revealing something else, and they're out there. Like they're doing a good job of staying on top of it. So yeah, when it comes to things like that, Yoshi P is just built different. He wants you to know what's going on.
Yeah, and to be fair, he's earned that trust as well.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is the studios that have earned your trust. If they drop a teaser that says we've started it, it will come out. Not saying when.
Mm-hmm.
If we started it, it's coming down.
Yeah.
So like Bethesda teasing, Elder Scrolls 6 is in the works. It's going to be way down the line, but it's in the works.
We're just gonna keep releasing Skyrim on every generation of console until it finally comes out.
On refrigerators, on your flip phone, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd rather be patient, and like even if it is painful, like having to wait, but I'd rather, if they're going to release a bit more information about it, they need to be quite comfortable and quite confident they're at a position that they can give a release date. And here it is. I think especially Square have definitely kind of learned, must have learned from the pain of 15. They obviously versus 13 at the time, they just announced it way too soon, and then it just got caught in development hell, rebooted as well. So obviously the original trailers that we were given at the very beginning, the product that we got at the end was just completely different and potentially didn't live up to what was promised as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then of
I
course,
love 15. I wish I could have seen what versus 13 would have been.
Yeah, and you said as well, Paul, the book that kind of covers the true ending of 15. So we didn't get to see what versus 13 was like, and we didn't truly get to see how 15 the reboot should have ended as well. So it was a bit of a
The thing I was
mishmash.
saying, the Aranea chapter, just that would have been such an epic DLC to play. It would have,
yes, it would.
without giving too much away, it would have basically took Kingsglaive and turned it into a single player RPG. Best way to segue between the two. And the way that the story changed your opinion of a certain god with that final true story, which you don't get in the main game or in Comrades, the multiplayer aspect of it. It was a love letter unsaid. It was a great game, but the DLCs added so much, and it's a shame that Tabata left when he did, and he just cut it. Because I think even with Tabata leaving, if they just left a second in command in charge of it, just to finish up the DLC, the fans would have been happy.
Yeah, I agree.
I gotta say that's the one thing I do. Obviously, going back to Shin Megami and Persona in that and you know obviously that series is that they still stay very true to single player story and content. Where
Yeah,
even like from what we can see was like they might possibly like 15 definitely had the online element, like you said, the Paul with the comrades. Uh, and I think there always has to be this somewhat online appeal that they're trying to put into modern games, and it kind of waters down the single play, the main story, and that's
right.
The purity of the experience.
yeah.
Yep.
I think with Atlas, though, one thing that's potentially shooting them in the foot is locking certain franchises to certain consoles now. They have seen, with releasing Golden onto Steam, they realized, oh, we've got all these new fans and now I've got to experience it.
And they're slowly realizing that. Hell, even with Soul Hackers being available for Xbox and whatnot, and it's the first time Atlas has released anything on Xbox for a while. So yeah, they're slowly getting out of that habit of being locked to one console. They realize what a cash cow it would be to be open to everything, including Steam.
Yeah.
Do you think one of the other things that kind of not that it kind of affected the appeal of the side stories, the Shinigami side story games, is that I know some of them came out at the end of the life cycle of the DS, and they did the same again with the 3DS. They came out and people kind of moved on to Switch, and I feel like
Yeah,
they're kind of late to the game there, and they're losing out on potential players.
They also
in
had
that.
a thing for
right.
years where certain titles only released in the US or only in the UK. So
Right.
if you got into it, it's like, right, I have to make sure my PlayStation can play PAL copies or N8 copies, NTSC even. And that
Right.
hurts your fan base.
Yeah.
Because when I was looking at the issue of ST, it was like, I've never heard of these two because, well, it was only in America, right? I'll have to emulate them if I want to try to play it.
So
Like that was like a really a thing back in the day, especially with like PS2, because there were so many PS2 RPGs that we never got to experience here in the UK, and it's just because of the bloody refresh rate on screens. You know,
Then you get people
it
like
just
Hideo
feels costly for
Kojima,
developers to
who's
bring
like,
it.
the Europeans, they know how to play. Let's chuck in European extreme difficulty.
Well, no, it was just the cost of actually, and especially European copies. This is why I'm kind of glad that they've kind of separated the UK out now, because obviously we're English speaking. Where originally we would be part of the European copies, so the copies that were sold in the UK would also have to be in French, Spanish, German, Italian. We can kind of get the same releases as in the US.
To be fair, during the PS3 era, that was bloody lovely for us because we could order the Canadian copies of RPGs that
You
came
did
out
with
a few
Tales of
months
Graces.
before the UK and they'd be playable in English.
Yeah.
Tales of Graces F was one that
Yes.
big comes to mind for that.
Although
Yeah,
you said
they've Atlas has done a little bit better of game accessibility as of recent, and I'm glad they have. But because, like you said, it was only shooting them in the foot in terms of availability of certain titles on certain consoles in certain regions. It was only shooting themselves in the foot and allowing and having players in certain regions missing out on what were potentially really good games. And another thing you mentioned was, things like PQ2. PQ2 was one of the last games, one of the final games made for 3DS. One of the very last games made for 3DS. And like that was kind of like to have that as a swan song. And again, like PQ2 didn't even have English VA, it was only Japanese. Um, it wasn't like Atlas didn't have it in mind to put out a budget for English VA because it's the swan song of the 3DS. Why even bother? But they've gotten better at that. I mean, now that they're shifting into a kind of a new era with PC gaming, I don't think that's really going to be a concern. And another thing you kind of have to think about, I don't know if you two knew about it, but the every year they do the surveys. They ask certain questions, and what would you want to see? What would you want to see? Um, so again, in regards to the future of Megaton, it's pretty optimistic. There's a few avenues they could go. They could return. There's an avenue they could possibly return to in the form of MMO gaming. I don't see it happening anytime soon. And if they did, I would want them to do it right. And I want them, I kind of been spoiled by 14. So I kind of want that level of decency when it comes to an Atlas MMO. I would hope and pray we get a producer of the same caliber as a Yoshi P. If we ever did get a Atlas MMO. So
Were you referring to the Shin Megami Imagine?
Yes.
Yes, I played I played it for about a month, and I just didn't get into
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I see what I mean. We have been spoiled before, So
Yeah.
if it's not bought to anything similar to that level, then it's gonna be a dead.
Yeah.
Knowing what your fan base wants and not turn the game into a cash cow, you might be alright.
Yeah, pretty
Because,
much.
like watching the news to me about Diablo Immortal and just the gems and the money
boy,
and that, like, no thank you.
What was their rating? Didn't they get a 0.5?
0.5, yeah, 0.5, yeah. It's probably gone lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, for example, I loved the Ni no Kuni game on PS3. I wasn't a big fan of the second one, but I knew they were, when they said they were releasing a mobile game. I thought I'd love the artwork. It's quite appealing because I like the Studio Ghibli artwork, and I kind of expected it to have gacha elements to it because it is a mobile game after all. But my God, I'm trying to enjoy the game, but I'm having to just wade through just every single thing you do, and it pops up. Oh, look, you've unlocked this, so you can unlock this time restricted bonus if you spend 17.99 on this. So it's like when you visit a really dodgy website and you got all the pop-ups that just kind of block the close button and just fill your screen, and it's like that in just game form. It ruins the experience.
It's why I stopped playing Megaton mobile game. Devil Saga 2 or something?
SNT, you mean, God, I forgot it. Because I stopped playing it.
The only gacha game I can say I've played...
Liberation.
That's the one.
Liberation.
The only gacha game I can say I've played and I didn't feel pressured by is Dissidia or Omnia. Because that feels like I can do what I want today and not care. There's a story, it doesn't cost stamina or anything, I can just play through it.
Yeah. What was the... I'm trying to remember the Final Fantasy mobile game I played a couple years ago.
Brave Exvius,
Um, not Brave. I was supposed to try Brave Exvius.
War Divisions.
Nope. It was. It was about the tomes. Like you were like
Record
a
Keeper?
tome keeper.
Keeper. Yeah.
Record keeper. Thank you. Now, yeah, tome keeper. Record keeper. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was pretty decent.
Yeah,
for what it was.
I did enjoy the art style. The fact it was like 16-bit fighting.
Mm-hmm.
See, at least Square Enix keeps trying to support those games. Where I tried with Bandai, Namco Bandai, when they released the Tales of mobile games, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm too afraid to even commit any of my time to them from the fact that their most recent one, they're already
Cristeria.
which one? Sorry.
Cristeria.
No, the on the phone is Lumeria. Something.
That one.
They're already canon it, and just like Tales of the Rays, a few years back, I was in Japan at the time when they were announcing it. I was on holiday and yeah, I downloaded it and played it and I was enjoying it. And then it was less than a year, I believe, that mobile game, and they canned it. And I was just like, well, as much as there's the appeal to play these games, I just won't commit any time to it because what's the point if
Unless
you're
the
gonna
game
kill it
draws
if
in
you've
the
not played it?
money, they just fade.
Yeah, but you're not giving it a chance.
It's just the mobile game market. It's why Korean MMOs come and go so quickly these days.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be
Yeah,
fun
but-
heavy, you invest money into it, all the
But if you
content
just-
is out and you disappear.
That's the problem if you just do carbon copies of everything.
Yep.
To get the attention.
But yeah, you were saying Sly about Q2 where they didn't bother with English voice acting. One of my favorite RPGs in recent years are the Digimon Cyber Sleuth series. I'm a huge Digimon fan.
I have a thing for you. Cyber Sleuth 1. And I've never played a Digimon game. I've never touched it, but I've seen so much of it in terms of Cyber Sleuth. Cyber Sleuth is basically Soul Hackers. They had copied and pasted Soul Hackers onto Cyber Sleuth.
I was waiting for you to say something on the lines of that. It really was.
Ooh.
But yeah, when I was playing, I was like, this is Persona vibes all
Yeah.
over. I love it.
Yeah.
I can nerd out over Digimon, do side quests, got a story that's very end of the world style.
But there's like there's copying and having like certain themes similar to another game franchise, and then like I said, it's just straight cutting and copying.
Yeah,
There's
but I will
Cyber
say
Sleuth.
for Cyber Sleuth, especially with the story, it is a duality, like Persona 2 was. You have the one side, then you got Hacker's Memory that runs parallel to it. And when you play in both and see how they interconnect the story is really good. I think Hacker's Memory is also the darker of the two of his storytelling. But it was, the reason I brought it up is they know the fans of the West just wanted the game. And it was a case of, well, we could delay it a year past when released in Japan to try and get the voice acting in. It'll take what it takes, or we just release it, just translate the text, and people just like, yeah, screw it, bring it over. And they're doing the same now next month with Survive. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot in the coming months that it's going to be really good.
Yeah, it's a good year for gaming.
Well, I didn't have to go to work. Well, it's like I said, I'm not even. I'm about 4 hours in. I've only been able to commit like 4 hours to SMT5, and I want to play more of it. It's just, I've just recently moved house, so I've had no time to even play. I haven't even had time to jump on 14, so adult in. It's awful.
Yeah.
Like, even when you
That
got the
thing.
time, it's just gotta commit to the games that you have to prioritize.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that's one thing I've having to start to I've quite recently started doing is that like I don't try to buy games new now from the fact that it's expensive and from the fact that if I play a game and it doesn't pull me in within the first hour, I've got no attachment to it. I'm not going to continue persevering trying to play it if I'm not enjoying it
Hmm.
because I've paid for this game. It's a case of
Exactly.
if it's not worth my time, I can't. I've got a limited amount of time to play games now. That's yeah. If it doesn't catch me, then trade it in, get something else. Which, funny enough, I had is it Tokyo Mirage sessions?
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
So
Yeah.
I obviously picked that up because I played the Shinigami games and I've played Persona, and it
Hmm.
was a bit too fan servicey for me. So even though it did have that kind of element of
Yeah.
game that I liked, I was just like, yeah, sorry. I'll trade.
It's an acquired taste. I
Yeah,
can tell you that it's an acquired taste. It does get better in the later portions, but it's an
uh,
acquired taste.
I will never know.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe is it the recapitation videos? Or maybe there'll be one of Tokyo Mirage one day, so I can just kind of get the bite size of what
The
happened.
gist of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shout out to Oni Black Mage.
there we go.
Yeah, that guy really helped me get
Final
my head
Fantasy
around
11.
Persona 1. Because he went into the extra DLC stuff with the
Mm.
super bosses and stuff. It's like, damn, this game had so much story. All I remember is running around corridors wondering what the hell I'm doing. Because that was the biggest thing, going from 3, 4, 5 back to 1. And just the entire map system being different and the hallway navigation. Like, what the hell am I playing now? It threw my mind. I do feel, though, that 1 and 2, because it's got a SMT aspect of it, the fact that you had almost Enchanted Arms, if you ever played it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Chain
the
arms.
way
Yes.
you had to position your players on the board like chess.
Hmm.
Like, seeing that, it was a cool system. Really
I
had
love
to
the chain
work
arms.
out how you had your team. Because when I was first playing it, I went into a battle and I could not attack my opponent because none of my attacks could hit.
And you had to move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Let's have a quick discussion about the music, as that's been the biggest sell point to me. Which songs or themes stand out to you guys the most across the series?
Oh, I'll let y'all go because I have so many.
Ash?
Uh, I'm gonna have to get the because I can picture the song in my head. I just can't remember the title. I'll be 1 second.
So I'll start it. So like I said earlier, The Fog. The first time you and I, because it was just that main guitar bit to the do. That sold me. Just hearing that and actually playing through Golden, getting to that boss fight. I just got a point that I put the Vita down just to listen to the music. Because that song is just amazing, and just the battle around it. It's like how they treat 14, how Soken treats all the boss battles. That you just know the sense of everything coming with it. Persona 5 especially went crazy with this. Persona 5 had so many bangers, Rivers in the Desert being one of the crazy ones for me.
Yep.
But
Yep. That was one.
even the like Persona 1, just the general like battle music and everything, it just had the right atmosphere.
There you go. I just remembered the one so obviously the Persona the music that we're obviously referring to here has a lot of jazz elements, and so it has to be Cafe LeBlanc. Just it's the most chill out song. I can listen to that on repeat.
Yeah, that's a good tune.
But yeah, I guess it's good that you can go for such a like relaxing kind of laid back kind of songs to then when you go into the boss battles and it kind of have the heavy metal element to it as well.
Yeah, you just start chilling to the June's theme, then all of a sudden you listen to like Burn My Dread.
Exactly.
How about you then, Sly? Because you're the one with more history with the franchise, so you can go into the 10 side games.
Okay. Ginza from SMT1 to hell, Ginza and Nocturne as well. Um, Great Sign from Strange Journey Redux. The Shekinah last boss theme from Strange Journey Redux. Um, the original theme for Strange Journey, period. Uh, um, the Divine Powers from SMT4. Uh, mm, the shop theme for SMT4. Hell, it's the same thing. Yeah, the Shurikai shop theme from SMT4 and Apocalypse. Um, Lone Prayer from SMT1, the battle theme from I'm sorry, Lone Prayer from Persona 1, battle theme from Persona 2, Burn My Dread from Persona 3. I'll even throw in the movie version because that one's good. Fog from P4, so many from P5. But as far as recent, I'll go I Believe from P5 Royal. And then from Strikers, Counter Strike from Strikers.
That's
And
quite
let's
an
not
extensive list.
forget Aria of the Soul, or however rendition you want to use.
Yeah, any rendition of Aria of the Soul. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still hoping in the future entry in the Persona series we get some of the old residents back, like Nameless or Belladonna.
I hope so too. Or Demon Painter.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of the old classic actually have the singer in the room with the theme. Which has been your favorite representation of the room?
Favorite representation, probably the limo because of the drinks.
Very similar to the shelf I can see in the background.
Yeah,
Though I just want to point out,
much.
this here is a big whiskey collection.
Ah.
I'm just drinking some Jack Daniels.
One-
No fancy
the one
whiskey shelf for me.
the one I bought you for your birthday, might I
Yes.
add?
Jack Daniels legacy, yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It'd be sorry, I was just saying you added like the limo because of the drinks and it'd be good to have a Persona-esque game. I know you said the which one was it with the mainline series that had like you said you played as adults and it had more adult theme. It'd be good.
Two.
It was two.
P2. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dual
it'd be good.
punishment or innocent sin?
But it's like you see in Persona 5, you can your character can visit a bar because like certain I'm gonna say confidence, but social links. They call it certain social links that the character obviously is in the bar, but obviously your character is of school age. But it'd be good to have that kind of social link element, but from an adult point of view, because then you can add more adult themes to that sense, and probably more
Yeah.
humor as well.
Oh, yeah, if they go humor,
Yeah.
they just have to look at the Yakuza series.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of times in the Persona series you interact with drunk people. It'd be nice to co-interact as over drinks. Like the only way to interact with this confidant is to drink so many pints before you talk to him, and need to remember what your favorite drink is to advance the next social rank.
Yeah.
Exactly. See that would appeal, like Persona appeals to me, but that one would appeal to me far more.
Oh yeah, Ash. Which was your favorite rendition of Velvet Room?
Uh, I guess I preferred fives. Yeah, I kind of like fives because you're just treated like a criminal every time you're in
Yeah, your wardens definitely made that memorable.
there.
Yeah, they did.
For me, it's a mix between 3 and 1.
Hmm.
With 1, I just loved that it was a lounge.
Yeah.
It was just so chill going in there. Igor getting up his demon phone. But with 3, with how it looked, even, very much Twin Peaks and everything, you get those vibes.
Hmm.
But it also, the room that felt the most atmospheric with your stakes.
Yeah.
That's how Persona 3 came off to me.
Hmm.
Is there anything you'd like to bring up, Sly?
Oh no, I think y'all done a pretty good job of touching on pretty much most of the aspects of Megaton and yeah, in general. You did a
I know
touched on
you've been
everything.
excited for a while to just talk about this.
Yeah.
Like every
Yeah,
time you
it's
guess,
good
somebody's
to
like, when are you doing a Persona show or not a show?
yeah.
So I thought it'd be
Yeah,
good to
y'all
get
pretty
you on,
much
just let you rant and rave as much as you wanted.
well, thank you for letting me rant and rave. This was good and cathartic, I think.
Yeah. It's been a good chat. Definitely learned a lot more about the titles that I'm not familiar with.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just hope like with the anniversary that perhaps if they're going to port some to the Switch because some of the side games from the main Shinigami series I'd love to get into.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be a thing. They have, like you said about the services, they have expressed interest now, obviously, in Golden and Ultimax. They are
Hmm.
trying to push some more out. So it would be nice
Yeah.
for them to bring some of the main series out as well, try and push that up more.
I would hope they do.
We can but hope.
That's all we can do.
We might have to have another show after all 3 of the events this year just to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens at the end? So far, people have saying like it's been disappointing. I have tempered my expectations
Yeah.
realistically for it because I know they have to get through a lot in certain months. So we'll see what
And the
happens
worldscape
at the end
being
of
what
it.
it has been for the last few years.
Yep, exactly. So again, we'll have to talk about it once everything is all said and done, and then yeah, we can really kind of hypothesize.
Definitely. All we know, we'll start the next show with you going to Ash. Ha! Told you Persona 6.
Oh, I said I'd be very surprised, but like you said, if they just show like an image or two and just tease it,
Hmm.
in that sense, then yeah, okay.
Oh, that's when the theories will start is what's going to be the theme this time around.
Hmm.
It will be
Mm,
nice to see what the theme for the main character will be, because as we know with the personas in general, they tend to represent a certain style of story.
Yeah.
Like we had in Persona 5 with all of them being sort of thief based, especially with Arsene and Captain Kidd. So it'd be interesting to
Mm.
see what themes the story will lean into.
yeah. So-
Got a thought you want to share, Ash?
No, I'm trying to think of the elements. So yeah, Persona 4, it was
Truth.
it was a case of what was that?
Are you thinking of the theme or the
Yes,
overall?
like when they awakened to their personas in Persona 4, it was kind of like they didn't face their true self, that
Yeah.
they hated themselves. There was a certain element of themselves that they
Mhm.
didn't want to accept. Where Persona
Mhm.
5, it was more of, it had like that, like you said, Paul, like that thief, but it was more of like,
It was the sense of justice.
just, yeah, there was
Because
Yeah.
yeah,
very much
justice.
again with Joker is Persona San, obviously based on Arsène Lupin, the gentleman thief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the people and the people around them, kind of like they knew it was justice. It was just to kind of bring them to justice, but they didn't want to because it made them look bad, doesn't it? It made them look like a criminal. That's why you had that kind of element in
Mhm.
Persona 5. In 3, 3 is a bit of an odd one, isn't it? I'm trying to think.
Memento Mori. Remember death. 3 was all about death.
Yeah, you had to come, well, from the fact that how they summon is killing them. Well, they're shooting themselves in the head,
Mhm.
isn't it? Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's getting close to death. Yeah. All right, so you have death. What would you call it? Not so five is justice, 3 is death, 4 is, what would you
Facing
say?
your true self.
Yeah, very much Persona.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I
2.
think 1 and 2 was a bit more ambiguous at the time. Mainly because I remember 1 and 2, all your characters are treated like the main protagonist from 3, 4, 5, where you can just equip any persona. You had some unique, but it was very
Oh,
much. You could customize your party however you wanted. Ooh, one last thing that comes to mind about a particular demon slash persona. Is it always the case that Yoshitsune is just absolute bullshit in every game?
Not every game. People like it just became popular with Persona, and then outside of that, people will try to make it that way. Even in 5, Yoshitsune was average at most, and I did not bring Yoshitsune to end game. Yoshitsune had its job mid game. After that, he just stayed in the compendium. So it differs from game to game, honestly.
I
talking
just
about
remember, I think it was around Strikers, just looking at what people are taking into Merciless, and they say, yeah, just build the Yoshitsune. He's just invincible to most stuff that they try and throw at you.
I, I
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of the demon, but I can remember back to when I first played Persona 3. I'm like 17 at the time, and spending a good 5 minutes just laughing my ass
Oh,
off
Dick
because
Chariot.
Dick Chariot, yeah, the cock
Mara,
chariot, yeah.
Mara.
I just giggling my 17-year-old ass off at that.
Who doesn't, to be fair?
Yeah.
Uh,
Some of the creature designs are pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
I think you could rename him, and they did rename it Dick Chariot. No, not Mara. No, Dick Chariot.
Dick
Yeah, it's
Chariot.
one of those things you just give something a nickname, it has stuck because what else will you describe it as?
That's a Dick Chariot.
I'm
Oh, well.
surprised I never got censored coming to the West over the years.
Well, they didn't they? No,
No, I
they
don't think
censored.
Mara's
No,
ever went through censorship.
no,
Unless
they
it's
No.
religious or shows boob, they just don't censor it.
but they did censor Hitler.
Obviously.
Yeah.
If you go back to the one, was that 102 that had
2.
two?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because clearly Dick Chariot's not offensive, but Hitler, well, Hitler is, but video game form, questionable.
Right. Right.
And with that, I think it's a good place to end the show.
End on
Dick
Dick
Chariot
Chariot.
Hitler. How do you get in gaming?
Oh,
Alright, Sly, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Uh Again, thank you guys so much for having me on today. It was really, really good. Really good to talk about all this. Really cathartic. Thank you so much for having me on. You can find me on twitch.tv/Sly, aka Gray Fox. You can find me on Twitter at SlyTheFox. And yeah.
Any events coming up that people should be aware of?
Um, not just right now playing games. Um, People are trying to get me to do Mario Party, and I am raging against the machine as hard as I can on that one. But yeah, just playing some games. Yeah, next this week is Summer's Games Fest, and like for a couple of days past that, and we'll go over some news with that and everything, and then pretty soon is Nirvana. The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, and then shortly after that is Sunbreak. So we'll definitely have no shortage of things to do in the coming weeks.
Indeed. And as for Ash and myself, you'll find us here on twitch.tv/within crisis, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.